want just to say you welcome. This evening, this event was very beautiful for me this year. I hope you enjoy the event. I want to say thank you to the staff members that stay every day with 600 people to manage the room. Very good work for me.
Thank you.
Pleasure. So, who I am, just a few words. I work in Kitech in Rome. We work in Python 3 years ago. But the company is based on Java for many years. So the company have a lot of experience with large application server is in Java. But we follow in love 3 years ago for Python for the problem that the JVM have in the production environments. So for the first part of the talk, I will speak about the environment. So the Python environment, but not only. For the development, I suggest to use Linux, obvious. There is questions? No? Better? And if you install a shell called terminators, it's a good tips because the shell split. After I can show you the powerful of this shell. First point is the Vue.js. I went to the customers one times, and they deployed their own application, copying his file manually to a lot of servers. And also, no one knows well the development environment. There was just one desktop when the people needs to change something, connect by remote desktop to this machine, and the boss installed the one Eclipse. They change one file and copy in production without test, without anything. That's obvious. It's a paradox, technical paradox, but it's the reality. So, first step is use always Subversion or whenever you want for Vue.js to sharing the files through the team. But another tips for Python environment is use always the virtual env. We spend 1 year to understand, so it's better if I told you where use the virtual env. I want to say you, there are 4 environment when you develop the library. Either where you develop the continuous integration environments and the production. For all of them, it's a good choice. Use a virtual env always. When you create a virtual env, you can say which version of Python you can use, and I suggest to use no-side packages for developing, because sometimes your laptop update some libraries, and your old application could not restart properly in your environment. So in the development environment, use always virtual env, like this. It's create one environment where you can install a library, Python libraries, and so on. you can simply activate the virtual env by using source deactivation. After, you can install a lot of libraries by pip or by easy install, which you prefer. I use virtual env for all library virtualized, also for PIL, IPython, I don't know if you know, but also for some libraries that are difficult to find. For example, RRDTools is a library to log in a lot of information and create a lot of graphs. It's very powerful, but when you install this library, for example, in CentOS machine, there is always the old versions. So it's better install also this kind of library that are not Python based inside the virtual env with the same the Linux configuration using the prefix and install the library inside the virtual env. This need another tips that tell to the process where search the library, the C library. That's we did this for the project that using some library that in CentOS are so old. So after that, you have to set up your environment, for example, PyCharm, but Eclipse have the same. And you have to select one interpreter, Python interpreter. You can also choose, specify other, and select your virtual env. So your IDE of the development IDE is synchronized with your environment. Another tool very useful for understand which library are installed inside the virtual env is Yolk. That's a simple syntax, show which library are installed and active inside the environment. But another tool very useful is the menu that check on PyPy site which version could be updated. So you can install the new version, check if there exists another version. Okay. Well, when you use Django, you have a lot of application. And I suggest to use the easyinstall or pip for install also all applications inside your environment. That's, for example, this application, all out, it's useful for the single sign-on authentication. It's used Google and so on for login the user. But this install all his dependency. His depend from five other library, for example, Allout or Python OpenED, etc. Another tips is if you install, for example, you are a contributor for Django DevTools, and you are developing your application, not Django DevTools, you can also integrate the development environment by using setup develop. It's installed inside your virtual env, just a link to say where the source code of the external library is. So if you use Yolk to understand which library are installed inside your virtual env, you find also Django DevTools that is in deployment version and is inside your trunk, your directory. If you change something, obvious, in your code, it's automatically installed inside the virtual env. So it's synchronous by another application. That's it's just to say, pay attention to the bash script, because often some library, when it's installed, use the first line absolute, and so you have a problem to move this environment to another machine or to sharing with other people of the team. So that's very useful for me because I use a lot the command line. It's our Django bash completion. If I use source load the environment of Django bash completion, it go inside the code of Django and invoking the Python, the application, and asking the commands required. Also the options are available in the auto completion. So it's very useful for me. Okay, now let's start the first project, AP EuroPython. When I have a lot of applications inside my laptop, so for each of them, I install, I create a file environment which I insert the source of the virtual env for activation, for the library that I told you, C library, and the source of the bash completion. Obviously, you can use another name, another script. Now let's start, because I want to show you that when you run the test of your application, for example, we start application called a blog, Django install one test. But we can use cover before test to have the coverage of your unit test in your application. That's because we install before in the environment Django DevTools. So in the next slide, we can see the output of the coverage, where the blog have one test passed, so, but it's not a very good example, so I insert one real project where you can see the coverage of the code passing by test, 91. It's a very good coverage. And all these columns are sorted, so you can go inside the modules and see the code and see the line covered by the test or not. Now, you have to install the application by its install, but how we can write our application to we want to install our application, and that application have to install its requirements. So we can create a file called setup.py and import setup to setup. Using this function, we can configure our package. For example, name blog, author Simone, package. We want just to publish the package blog, not all the application. And it's required some application. For example, distribute, docutils, we can specify also the version. And for example, Django DevTools and Python DataTools. If you see on internet that there are a lot of examples with these utils core instead the setup tools. I use setup tools because it's wrapper of these utils and add some feature for PyPy upload for your application. For example, register and upload or documentation command are available just if you use setup tools. Also develop. It's just useful if you use setup tools. So you can develop your library and put just in the virtual env, just the link with your application. So you can develop multiple applications in the same environment using this syntax. Or you can register your application in PyPy and to say to all that exists your library. Or you can upload the egg. Okay. Now I want to speak about something about the continuous integration. Continuous integration is sorry. Okay, Buildbot, it's a very powerful continuous integration system that permits you to manage your application in development and check every change in your source code. It's a master-slave architecture where the master check all your source code and check if there is some changes. For example, you can choose every 5 minutes. Or you can change the versions of the line, the arrow, just putting one trigger in subversion commit. But I prefer put all the logic in the master. So each time one member of the team commit a new change, we can run multiple tasks in the slave machine. For example, build a test, but also the deploy of new version if you use a continuous deployment. So every change we deploy in a new test environment and the application. Or we can publish the coverage that I showed you before, subversion stat, etc. For example, in Django Buildbot project, you can find some script to use Buildbot with your application, Django application. So this is just an example where I create a virtual env for install Buildbot. After, I can create the master, just invoke this command. And after you have to set up the manage.cfg to configure the builders and the source code and the step of each script have to do. We configure all in the master, not in the slave. So you can use for the slave the laptop of each member of the team. So when someone change something, the master trigger to one of the laptop to test the environment. Here it's a very simple example because it's a lot of complex this tool, but you can see the update for the subversion. So the slave check out the project, download one file from the master. So it's not necessary that he hosts the scripts or something like that, and run one shell command. So we can use as slave also Windows machine or Mac OS X machine. For example, the slave is installed in another environment, Buildbot slave, create the slave, and use just the location where connect, one name and one password, and stop. This is the starting for the two processes. Start. This is the result. The master, when start, have HTTP interface that show you which are the builders and which are the slave connected, and a lot of, and you can see, for example, in this grid view, a lot of slave different from, this is the Django configuration that tests, for example, on Ubuntu for the trunk 2.5 with SQLite, or it tests also for Postgres, MySQL, etc. So when you commit new change, automatically start the test on different hardware, so you can be sure that your changes don't impact the other architecture. Okay. I want to speak about alias command. That's is inside also in Django DevTools, where you can, you have to, before, this is a best practice that I don't know if you know, in the settings, usually in the end, it's imported all variables from the settings local. The settings local is a file that is not shared by the team, but is locally on the machine. So for example, for my development environment, I want the debug true, and I want to enable the aliasing for our application. Wrote your command, manage command in Django is not so complicated, but sometimes you wrote your command just to say, I want that my command run some commands in one, for example, this reset block, not input, and after syncdb. With the alias command, you can create a rapid command called my cmd that do a series of stuff. And this alias is shared from the team members, because there is a manager.gfg that is in the subversion. So, because you can create also an alias in Linux, obvious. It's have the same syntax, but this is shared by the team members, so it's useful. Okay. I want to show now another product very powerful, UVSGI, that is developed in Italy by Unbit. I don't know if you never heard Unbit, but it's a very powerful tool because you can set up in an ini file, or it support XML, JSON, or YAML configuration. Your application, how do you want to run this application. For example, we set up the virtual env, so the application use this virtual env, these settings, and the module is the core of Django USGI handler. This we require a master and 7 process. The master check the process and rebuild if there is a problem inside the process. And hierarchy is a very powerful option that if there are problems inside one request and one process spend more than 60 seconds for a response, he kills the process and restart a new one. Match request is the same of Apache configuration, and he said that this process can respond to 5,000 requests, and after it's restarted for memory leak. And that's it's a very important, the socket, because this UVSGI is a server, or maybe it's better called an application server, that is listed in one property protocol called UVSGI on this socket. The socket could be also a unit socket, not only TCP. And you run this, your application just run the UVSGI. This is the simple configuration for the location in Apache. That's and your run. Other tips using UVSGI is that you can run. It's just without Apache for development. Just telling which is the HTTP port. Another tips for the production environment is that you can use the auto snapshot. So you run the application that leave a backdoor for a broken release. Because UVSGI, if you pass a kill hoop signal to the PID, to the application, he restarts, he reload the application. So if you release with this install another release, you can just pass the kill up to the application and he restart. But if you have a problem, because the release that you release is wrong, there is something broken, there are two process backup that can easily restart the old application by using the urge signal to the PID. So it's very, very, very nice project. Obvious, if you wrong the release, you have to check your environment and change it inside the install PTH for downgrade the new version that you install. This file is have a list of library installed in your environment. Okay, that's another brutal reload with the term. I want to speak another more on this project because you can also use your module and not the WCG handler here in the ini file. And you can say there are some API available for example, add the cron inside your application without using the cron of your operative system. For example, I want clear the session of my site every 24 hours. So the same syntax, but the -1 is the asterisk, but here it's a minus. And you are, and the master, every 23 hours, send the signal to one of the process, 7 in this case, and to run this clear session. So very powerful. Another slide for, say, the Emperor project, also inside this project, to run multiple applications just with one line. So the Emperor command say all configuration file inside this directory it's one. For example, the ini file that I showed you before that run, and there is configured the virtual env, etc. So by one line, you can run multiple applications inside one server. And you can also use the asterisk to say, for example, we have all environment here and the ini file in each environment, so it's powerful. This UVSGI will be in the Django documentation in the next release. So another very powerful, but I don't want to speak about the clustering. It's the clustering that permits to have process distribute in more than one server. Okay. Next, part of the speech is totally different. So if you have some questions about the first part, tell me now. Yeah?
Have you heard of virtual env wrapper?
Yeah?
It's,
Virtual env wrapper?
it's a tool to
Yes, I know.
manage for the web.
Yes, I know the tool, but I prefer using directly virtual env.
Yeah, because then you shared you had some additional steps.
You want?
You showed you had some additional steps when starting on a virtual env, and if those are the same for all virtual envs, you can also do it in a hook for virtual env wrapper, so that saves you some small steps, I guess. So, well, just a tip for other people, I guess.
Yes. I think each people have the preference. I prefer using directly the virtual env just for to go directly. Okay. Other questions about these tools? Okay. So, the second part of the speech, I want to show you some line of some code. So, for example, one problem that is a lot of spoken in internet is the stand of the users. So that's is not the best solution. I want to show just some step to arrive the best solution for me. Usually, you want to add some field to the user, for example, a nickname, or you want to create a different logic for the get profile. That's are very diffuse problems that you can find. For the get profile, you can use a post save if you use the table, if your application install the users, but not always is a good compromise. For example, the table of user could be created from another application, or so the post save is a trigger inside the code. So usually is not always the best solution, but it's a good solution if you manage directly the users. So when you use the user profile, you have to set up the authentication profile module, and you have to change the backend if you want that in the request there will be the AP user and not the user. For example, if you are in your view, you want to use the nickname, you have to modify the backends and say that is the user and not the classical user. Another tips is override the create super user command, because if you want to use to be sure that the AP user, all users are AP user, you have to create also this. It's a lot bit complex. So maybe sometime I see this code that monkey patch the get profile method. So we don't touch the table of the user, but we just saying that the get profile create the user if don't exist the user profile. This is the monkey patch, where you change directly the method of one class.
What do you change exactly?
For example, in your model in your model, for example, but there is you have to see the import, the China import. But I don't like also this monkey patch, because I prefer this solution. So extend the user by using a proxy that change the get profile method, get or create, and using a cache inside this class, and using a middleware that change just the type of the request user. So there is no more query, just one query for the authentication, and it's changed the class of the user with one superclass, AP user, that add some behaviors to the environment. So you can find in your views request.user these methods. Okay, you have to add the middleware out after the authentication middleware. Okay, stop this argument. I want to speak about now the form, because it's a very powerful tool, but often we write too much form for just a presentation. For example, I want to say you that exists a model form factory from Django. I don't know, it's not a lot of documented, but if you write one line, you can say that the model form starts from AP user and you use just the field username and the mail, and it creates the class for you in one line. Obvious, if you want to add some behavior to the form, for example, adding a clean username method to check the username, you have to create a class. But also here, I usually in the application don't put the the meta class here, because I want to use this form in different presentation view. So also here I use the model form factory that starts from my form and use this for presentation. So I just separate the concern validation and view. With the same logic of the factory, I can use for autosave user form. Let's say it's a problem, classical problem, where one user logged want administer own models. For example, the author is a model that have a foreign key to the users. So that's function. It's a factory function that creates inside one class that extend model form passed by parameter and exclude the user from the form, but in the save the user inside the instance. Okay? This could be used in simple mode like before, I say. Autosave user form factory passed one user and one model. It's you can use this factory also for different models that have a user foreign key. In this case, we can use, for example, for a test, passing some data named Federici to autosave form, and it's valid. And if you see the form inside the instance, there is a user. So it's a good tips for me. But if you want also change for example, the post in our post application, we have the authors, but the post that you insert, you want just specify the author that you insert, your author. So we can use the same logic to filter author form to create the form dynamically. So this is the same signatures that take one user, one model, and the form that you have to extend. And the inner form set up the author model choice field with just the author set choices. So if we want to use this bot function to create a powerful form, we have to take the user, create the auto form, so the function that we see before, and using also the filter authors form factory to create our final form. In our final form, we can use passing sample and one author that is not of the user, exclude, and there is an obvious error. Or we can use one author of the authors, and it's valid. Okay? Now, when we develop the form, we can use the form inside our view. But it's useful also use the form inside the admin. So, for example, if you want to see the same logic inside the admin, we can create, we have to register, for example, author with this class, author admin. The author admin extends the autosave user admin. So we want that automatically when we create an author in the admin, it's automatically save the users in the model. The autosave user admin have to rewrite the get form. Get form return the instance of the form. No? But by parameters, we can pass to the superclass the keywords with a form parameters. In this case, we create a form, autosave user form, directly from the request user here. Okay? That's easy and powerful because this autosave user admin is totally, there is no model inside here, but in the author admin. So we can use this abstract class for many models. And in the second instance, we can do the same things for the post admin that have to use the form that filter also the authors for the field. So it's use a filter author form factory and pass to the superclass. But superclass is autosave, so autosave add more behavior. So we have the final form that we saved before. So this is the result. We have an author, and when we save the authors, automatically is saved also the user. And also we see just our authors, never the authors of the other people. And in the post sample, the select just show you your authors and not all the authors inside the database. Okay. With the same logic that you see this example, we develop the field for the form, for example, autocomplete or time entry, color picker, and I suggest you to use jQuery UI that have a lot of very powerful tools. So data table, data sort table, pagination. A very good plugin for jQuery that I use is Full Calendar. It's like Google Calendar, and you can drag and drop the events from one date to another date. So it's very, very powerful. That's it. Let's finish. There are some questions.
So the question is about extending the get profile thing that is showed in the middleware, which is, I think it's okay, but request is not maybe the only way you want to access the application. I don't know, like management commands or salary tasks that also use the code, and they won't run through the middleware, right? So they won't be aware of the change.
Yes, the monkey patch resolved this.
Yeah. So it's like,
But obvious that if you use the middleware, you have this solution just for the request.
Okay, and so my next question would be, what's the problem with the monkey patch apart from like it looks bad? Is it like any other problems? Like I know some things.
Just one thing. If you use the monkey patch, you have to pay attention where the monkey patch is, because if you insert in the model, it will be loaded only after the loading of all applications. And sometimes some tasks start before. So if you pay attention, it's we use also the monkey patch for changing the dimension of the user, for example, in some of the case. One customer asked me one time that the email need to belong 300 characters. I don't know why, but we use the monkey patch for increase the length of the table of user. But it's obvious that the problem is just one. If you use the monkey patch for a lot of application, if all our users for own application brought his monkey patch, you have to pay attention to that's the only problem of the monkey patch. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I didn't really get the how you got the model permission thing working.
Yes.
Maybe you can just.
Sorry, I didn't say, but here there is a check permission method that check if the user is the request user, and after you have to set up in the autosave user admin the bot of this function. So this is function that's just for a short line that check. So the query set that we insert here is for limit, or maybe I have to, is for the limit what you want to manage for the test. And the delete permission and change permission permit you to check if in the admin if you can edit or delete this record. So you cannot change directly the URL to hacking the application. Okay, it's enough. Tell me.
I'm just a bit sleepy still, but it's just me. I'm just wondering, where is the permission stored? Is it?
No, it's not stored. Just when you want, it's not an object permission level. This solution. There are some solutions that permit to check the user. This is just in the admin. There is an error. Permission deny. If you try to change something, it's not yours. So by query set, if you in the model admin, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. In the model admin, you can set up the query set to have access just to this query set. So you filter the model by the user keywords, and you access just to this in the query.
Oh. Yeah.
So you can see only yours. But also here you can edit the URL and change the kappa, no? The primary key. And if you write the delete permission function and exchange permission, as I show you, you have the permission deny if you try to do this.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have something
Sorry.
for read permission?
Sorry.
Just an additional question for this. Have you a similar method for read permission so that you can not even read things that are not belonging to the user?
You cannot read because there is the query set, but you can post something. So
okay.
it's the same. Because if you edit in the admin, you have to change. You can see only if you have the permission to change. Other questions? Okay.
I have a generic question for you.
For me.
So, what do you think about the Django admin, and how do you use it? I mean, do you use some enhancement, third library?
For the admin, there is two libraries very useful. One is called It's Admin, but I don't remember who is the maintainer. And it's very powerful, the admin, because he extends also these methods. He can extend also the get URL methods. So one time I developed one application outside the admin, and after someone told me, the client asked me to insert this application inside the admin. That's very easy because you can put the URL inside one method called def get URL that extend the user admin. So it's easy, write your different. But when I develop, the admin usually is just for the super admin, so with some features, and the backend for the clients. We develop with our solution with Vue, and because it's very powerful, but you have to know very well. So the member of team usually don't know very well the logic inside the admin. So if you change, you can change the filter, you can change a lot of things, and it's admin is an example. I have, for example, the possibility to use the auto-completion inside or something like that. But I don't like develop the backends application inside the admin. It's just it's too much powerful to give in the hand of the clients, I think. Okay. There are any questions? No? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.